Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Mila, you're at my book nook, and today I have a video that I haven't really seen people do, but if you know me, I am quite a rereader. There are certain books that I've sort of said that I'm going to reread every year. Sometimes it's happened, sometimes it hasn't. It's still in the works for this year at least, but I just wanted to go through books that, first off, books that I've read and reread after the first time around for, or books that I've read and that I plan on rereading, especially this year, and books that I have reread this year. So that kind of, those three under the same pillar of read and it is a reread. And then I have a couple of books that I haven't read yet, but I know I will love them and I know these will be rereads. Maybe they're not going to be yearly ones necessarily, and maybe it might be that I, go in for certain aspects of it, or I might go in for certain portions or whatever it may be. But I know that once I read these books and I, experience them for the first time, because these would all be first time reads, I will love them enough to reread them. Add one more. Okay. So with that being said, let us start with the rereads that I've read, the books that I have read and the books that, either I've already reread or I'm planning on rereading or are just sort of in that realm of I'm going to reread this at some point this year, especially. Also, if you hear noise in the background, please don't mind it. I hope it's not too bad because I have the mic, but just don't mind it. So the first thing I have is, of course, Lord of the Rings. Now, Lord of the Rings I discovered 2 years ago, in the sense that I finally read the books 2 years ago. Now, before y'all are like, you said this was a yearly thing. I know. I didn't get around to rereading the trilogy, unfortunately, last year for I don't know what reason, but I do have a small collection shelf, and I do really want to reread the trilogy. I've been wanting to reread the trilogy. We recently watched, I think it was last weekend that we finished Return of the King, and it just ignited my love for the series again, and I kept on getting TikToks and stuff and reels about Lord of the Rings and stuff. So definitely one that I really want to reread this year, especially. I think it's coming. Maybe August, September, or maybe July, August, September. I'll do it a little slower this time around, but yeah, Lord of the Rings. Next we have my infamous copy copy of, we have A Count of Monte Cristo. As you know, I have a big gripe against these newer editions because why does it look like this? I don't like it. I don't like the way that it is made. I think the quality has gone down. Now, before y'all are like, why is only 75% of the book tabbed? That's because I kind of got tired of tabbing and I just wanted to, I think, write in the margins later on still, but just the act of tabbing, I was just I really did not want to tab. I was just getting tired of tabbing. But I have so many, I don't notes per se. I don't really go deep into it as if I'm studying, but I definitely have some solid underlining that has happened. This one line on page 229, and this is the Penguin Classics edition, translated by Robin Buss. The intrepid explorer walked all around it, chose the most unsteady point, fixed his lever in one of its cracks, and, like Sisyphus, heaved with all his strength. That's just, yeah, I'm not sure where this was. I think this was when he found the cavern. Yeah, he found the cavern. And I just love the amount of classical studies, mythology references, and it's just, this one is so good. I have another translation. I have another copy. I have another translation. I'm very excited to read it. If it doesn't, I guess, click within, I want to say the first, I want to say 200 pages. I'm going to give it 200 pages because it's a newer translation. It's another translation. I think it's one of those translations that are in the public domain and they just gave it a nicer cover. So I'm not sure what the vibe is yet because I haven't read too much of it, but I will get back to you on that. However, if I don't really like that translation. I'm still gonna keep the copy, but I might just like try to find like an old Penguin Classics one, or I'll just get like a newer copy. Like, because I don't think this is gonna survive. First of all, it has my annotations, right? Second of all, I don't think it's going to survive another reread with the fact that it has annotations and the fact that it just like opens like this. So I'd rather have one annotated copy and then one non-annotated copy that I can actually use to read. Anyways, that was Count of Monte Cristo. That was a long-winded reason for wanting to reread the Count of Monte Cristo. Also, a lot of people I find, especially on like Substack and TikTok and like a very specific subset of like book talk, have been recommending the Count of Monte Cristo, and I'm just like so excited for people to discover this because holy cow, it is so good. So next we have two books that I kind of never end up like, I'm never not reading these. I'm always dipping in and out. It's constantly on my mind. These are constantly like occupying two separate parts of my head. Hence like a Venn diagram. We've got the Odyssey and the Iliad. And as shown here, obviously I've got quite the collection. And there's a reason why I have quite the collection, because I love these stories so much. And right now I think I have more Iliad translations, if I understand correctly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think I have more Iliad than I do Odyssey, but that's besides the point. So these ones are something that I'm constantly dipping in and out of. Like, I'll read a little bit, I'll read this chapter, I'll read this book, I'll read this book, I'll read this book. You know, I'm constantly, seeking out translation. So I'm never not reading this. So this is a little bit of a different, I guess, pillar in this yearly rereads kind of thing. So this is a very special case scenario. It has an asterisk to it. 2 giant asterisks for both the Odyssey and the Iliad. Next, we have, to no surprise, the Percy Jackson series. I reread this. I have read this and reread this since the age of 12, I want to say. I think I was either in 5th or 6th grade when I read these books for the first time. And then ever since then, I kind of like tapered off. At first, it was both, the Wizard book and Percy Jackson that I would continuously reread. And then at some point, the Wizarding book, the Wizard Boy book, kind of tapered off in like my excitement, I guess. And I continuously followed sort of Heroes Olympus, Kane Chronicles, Magnus Chase, Trials of Paul. I have all the books. Although I only have the first book in the like college series of newer, like the 6th, 7th, and I'm guessing there's an 8th because it's a trilogy. But like the trilogy after like everything happens, where Percy's trying to get like 3 recommendation letters for college. I haven't read those. The plan was for me to reread Percy Jackson and then I dive into those, but I realized I kind of don't want to read those right now. So that's why I haven't bought the second or even thought about the 3rd book at all. I only have the first book. Also, it has like the newer cover and it's also hardback, which doesn't match with any of my other books, which bothers me. I wish they brought back the original artist for the original story, or I don't know, they did a whole new cover. Like, I don't know, man. I have such conflicting feelings about the new covers. I don't like the new covers. There. I don't like the new covers. The covers that were before the newest ones were cool because when you put them all together, like laying flat, it makes a giant picture. And then you put all the spines together, it makes the Manhattan skyline, which I think is a really cool thing. But the newer ones, there's no like aligning thread. There's no, thread that sort of goes through. But anyways, that's a totally separate conversation. Totally separate can of worms. But yeah, the Percy Jackson series, as I said, I'm 24 now, so it's been like, 12 years? I've been a fan for like 12 years. And this series changed my life in so many ways. And I feel like a lot of people say that, but it truly has. And I will continue rereading this until like the day I die. Specifically like the 3rd book. The 1st and the 3rd book. Although the 4th and the 5th are also very, very good. So the 5th one, reading the 5th one is so harrowing as an adult when you experience the story through basically every year since starting it for the first time. So you really grew up with these characters and now you're older than the characters, and it's really crazy. It's really crazy. But yeah, next we have something that I reread recently, and I also read this I think for the first time 2 years ago, and this is definitely going on my list because I didn't really think about this list until like recently. but I still want to talk to you guys about it. So next we have Sabriel, and Sabriel is something that's definitely different than everything else because it's a YA fantasy series, and I'd even argue that it's kind of like a darkish fantasy series. I don't want to say like grimdark, but it's like it's not very happy-go-lucky. Like it's not super cheery. There's no like there's like humor in it, but it's not as funny in a Percy Jackson way, right? It's not funny in a Percy Jackson way because Percy, I feel like he uses humor to kind of cope, and he's just sassy and is just, I guess, also a trauma response. Rose traumatized. He probably has complex PTSD at this point, you know. But Sabriel is such an interesting concept because it was published when I think we didn't really have that YA sort of category that really divides the kids' books, which Percy Jackson is considered children's, like it's children's lit, so to speak. It's middle grade. It's not YA. And like adult books like Lord of the Rings and Count of Monte Cristo and stuff. And it was before we kind of had that solid like YA kind of step in between the two. And this is such an interesting book because we follow our main character who's a necromancer, but instead of raising the dead, they actually put the dead to sleep, and they're the only ones that can actually use necromancy, that are allowed to use necromancy. So yeah, and it's such an interesting world. It's such an interesting concept, and there's this sense of like almost dread and creepiness at the beginning of the book that is so like it really penetrates you to the heart. I can't explain it, but like I was getting goosebumps. I cannot read this at night. Usually I like read before I like fall asleep, or like I'm reading, you know, my things up against the other pillow because I have two pillows. My things up against the other pillows, and I'm like clicking away with my e-reader, with my clicker, you know, and I just like fall asleep, and my Kindle at some point, you know, turns off and stuff. But I couldn't even read this at night. Like, cannot read this at night. Anyways, we continue. Next, we have Wild Reverence by Rebecca Ross. This is one that I recently read that it touched me on such a level that I know that I will... Hold on. I need to know if there is a paperback coming. Please tell me there's a paperback coming, because if there is a paperback coming, I need to buy it. Wild Reverence paperback. I want a paperback. Give me a paperback. Sorry, guys. UK. Usually the UK covers, there's a paperback version, July 2026. I don't really like this cover. So Wild Reverence touched me on such a level. As I said before, I love the romance. I love the fantasy aspect of it all. I loved the layers because I read the first Divine Rivals book, Letters of Enchantment, that's what the duology called. But I read Divine Rivals, and then I didn't read Ruthless Vows, and then I jumped into Wild Reverence. And I kind of want to read Divine Rivals and Ruthless Vows. Let me know if you want to vlog for it. But it's just, there's so many layers to it. And it's like, I remember some parts of Divine Rivals so clearly because of the way that she writes things. And it really plays out like a movie. And her writing style, my God, her writing style is phenomenal. It is so gorgeous. So yeah, I think that will add itself to my list of yearly rereads. Given that I read it this year, I'm obviously probably going to reread next year. Like, you know, it's a reread. It's a reread, right? Next, we have, maybe I should have just done this. That's like a video of books that I'm going to reread for the rest of my life. But anyways, next we have another acquisition. I haven't really... Acquisition? What did I just say? I haven't reread this yet this year, but I'm planning on doing so because there is a new Pride and Prejudice adaptation. Oh, it's written by Dolly Alderton.
It's not even bugs. They're not even bugs.
I don't know. Anyways, I'm still iffy about it, so I think instead of watching whatever monstrosity Netflix decides to produce, I'm just gonna reread the book and watch the perfection that is the 1995 version with Colin Firth. So that's that. I don't want haters in my comments. 1995 on top. I don't want haters in my comments. I haven't watched the 2005 version yet. It's on Netflix. Okay, relax. But this is definitely something that I want to reread. And I actually have a very pretty copy. Apologies for the yelling. I have this really pretty copy. I don't know if I want to like read this version specifically, or if I want to get like a Penguin Classics one and annotate it, then I'll have 3 copies, but 4 copies technically. But yeah, Pride and Prejudice. Next is a list of books I haven't read, but will definitely be added to the list once I get to them. And the first I have is Master and Margarita by Mikhail Bulgakov. This is a sort of satirical, I want to say like dark comedy about the devil coming to Moscow. And I believe Bulgakov famously wanted to destroy it, or was going to destroy it, but then someone saved the manuscript and it was published after he died because it would not have been accepted when he was alive. I believe it's 1930s. Let me see. Master and Margarita. Yeah, it was published posthumously in Moscow Magazine 1966 to 1967 by his widow. Yeah, it satirizes Russian bureaucracy and atheism. What is that? How do I even say that word? Anyways, the story concerns a visit by the devil and his entourage to the officially atheist Soviet Union. The devil, manifested as one Professor Wolin, challenges the Soviet citizens' beliefs about religion and condemns their behavior throughout the book. The Master and Margarita combines supernatural elements with satirical dark comedy. Told you, dark comedy. And Christian philosophy, defying categorization with a single genre. Many critics consider it to be one of the best novels of the 20th century, as well as the foremost of Soviet satires. We're not going to comment on his background because I'm not going to comment on it either. But yeah, we're not going to comment. I'm not going to comment on about it. He was a Soviet writer, and that's that. So I think my dad has been trying to get me to read this for quite a while. I mean, he's been trying to get me to read this in Russian. I don't think that'll happen. But I have a very cool edition. Hold on a second. I have this very cool Penguin Classic edition. Does this still piss me off? Yes. Why is it the new one? But I have this edition, which is translated by Richard Pevere and Larissa Volkhonsky. With an introduction by Richard Pevere. Why is the... Oh my god, the letters are so small. The letters are so small. The letters are so small. Anyways, apparently this is like funny and really good, and I'm excited to read this, and hopefully I will be able to tell my dad that I have read it, at least in English. At least I've read it somehow. I think I need to read it like in English before I tackle it in Russian, because Russian books and yikes on bikes. Anyways, the next one I have is somewhere, I don't know where my copy is Brothers Karamazov. Actually, I'm gonna find my copy. Again, the fact that it's like a newer Penguin Classic edition pisses me the hell off, but this is the Brothers Karamazov by Dostoevsky. I have started it. I think I was just annotating like with a pen and just putting it sort of like putting in my thoughts and stuff, you know. And I think I was mainly just like underlining and stuff and all that. But this was a pleasant surprise because the tonal shift in the writing in this versus Crime and Punishment is just such a different world in a way. And I really want to get the Crime and Punishment version of this that is also the translation by Macduff. So hopefully that's the other translation, because he does a really fantastic job of like, I guess it's just easy to read. It's easy to absorb, which I find that's very hard to find with like translated literature. So that is the Brothers Karamazov. Next we have Anna Karenina, and I actually have 2 copies of this. I have this one, and then I have one with like the blue and white cover, which is like behind me, so I don't feel like getting it. But I think I'm going to also get, I'm also going to get the Penguin Classics translation, because the Penguin Classics, like, there's a reason why it's a Penguin Classics translation specifically, and it's because clearly it's very good. And I'm hoping that, even as someone who is Russian, I feel like it would be good, because I still consider myself as a beginner in Russian literature, because it's really weird, because I'm looking from the inside further in, but also from the outside in. Like, it's a really weird place to be in, because I speak, for those that don't know, like, I speak, read, and write fluently, and most of the stuff that, you know, I write and I speak, the way that I speak, it's very grammatical, but at the same time, my I guess, vocabulary level isn't what you would expect a 24-year-old from, like, you know, former Soviet who grew up with Russian in school would have. So I definitely have like a slightly lesser vocabulary in a sense, which isn't a bad thing because I have decent vocabulary, but it's just not as, I want to say profound, but it's not as profound as, for example, my English vocabulary. I think I have a very high, I guess, English lexicon, so to speak, but that's because I utilize it and I mainly read in English. So that's the problem. Like, I mainly read in English, and I'm going to experience these for the first time through English, but then I'm going to read them in Russian eventually, and it's such a conundrum, you know. And being a third culture kid is so weird. But yeah, that's not to say and I haven't even touched like the Tajik and Persian literature at all, because I don't speak Tajik, so I can't even touch that except through translation. So it's unfortunate. Next, we have War and Peace. And surprisingly, I only have one copy of this, and that is the Oxford World Classics. Will I get the Penguin Classics? I don't know if there's even a Penguin Classics version. War and Peace, Penguin Classics. I'm trying to see if there is. Because I don't want the, like, really... Oh, no, there is. Okay. There is one. There is one. That's fantastic. But I also want to read the mod translations, husband and wife, that was approved by Tolstoy himself. So yeah, I'm going to read the Oxford Classics translation, but maybe I'm going to read it on my, like, either tablet or maybe on my e-reader or something. So yeah, so that is War and Peace. Again, most of these, as I said, I think I might have said it, but these are mostly Russian classics, because I really want to get into it, but it's just really difficult. Apologies for the screeching. It's my sister. She's fine. She's just in the pool. Don't worry about it. And lastly, we have The Three Musketeers by Alexandre Dumas. This is my favorite edition out of the three. Three? No, I have 3 editions, I think. I think I have 3 editions. I believe I do. I believe I do have 3 editions. 3 editions. This is my favorite edition, and I got it for $12.50. And actually, I might have not bought it. I think my boyfriend might have bought it for me. The only thing is, I really dislike this line, and it kind of bleeds onto the front. But this is the Penguin Classics. These are like the old Penguin Classics, and I really like these ones. I wish they also, like, kept these vibes instead of making the newer ones. Like, I feel like this is also easy to read, you know? And I really like this one because it's actually, like, the cover shows a musketeer in the time of Louis XIII by J.L.E. Messonnier. So it's just, I'm really excited to read this. As I said, I loved The Count of Monte Cristo, and I'm obviously going to reread The Count of Monte Cristo, but I figured that it was time to get into the D'Artagnan romances. And I know that not all of Dumas' books are available in English, but here's the kicker. Here's my singular advantage in this case. I speak French. I know, shocker. Literally, one of my first few videos was like a guide to, like, French books. I speak French. I am fluent in French. I graduated from a full French school in Canada. I live in Canada, by the way. And yeah, I can read those. I can read the untranslated novels in French. So take that, Dumas. You thought, take that, honestly. But yeah, I'm really, really excited to reread all of these. I'm really excited to read some of these for the first time. Yeah, so that is it. I know it was like a long, rambly video, a little ranty, but I hope you enjoyed regardless, and I hope you'll comment what your yearly rereads are, if you're going to reread any of the ones that I mentioned, if you're going to read any of the ones that I mentioned, which ones would you add to your, like, reread list, because you know you're going to like them and stuff like that. So with that being said, let me know what your thoughts are down below. Follow me on all my socials, especially my Instagram. I'm more active on there, and my TikTok and my Substack. There will be a Substack version of this post as well, of this video, although more in a Substacky way, not like a direct transcription kind of way, because I find that's a little boring. But yeah, I will see you in the next one, and I hope you have a wonderful day wherever you are. Please take care of yourselves. These heat waves are atrocious, and I will see you, my dears, in the next one, and I wish you, as always, happy reading.